technology, but also innovation in the way we manage. And we have heard a lot of creative ideas. We hope that phantom focal will be used in the real life. Solar filter will be used in the real life. So our mission is create the most favorable for innovation in technology to be applied. And it should be started from people, their needs of saving, and the reason to save energy. First of all, let's look at our video clip. Thank you for your watching. And this is also the summary for our presentation today. Our ideas start from the story of my mom. That few months ago, my mom had her electricity bill on her hand, and she shouted, "What? I use over the benchmark, and I have to pay extra charge. It's so unfair." I said, "It's very fair, Mom, because you're not a clean housewife, and you use too much energy." And my mom told me that when you use over the benchmark, you have to pay extra charge. But when you use under the benchmark, who pay the bonus for you? It's a crazy idea, or maybe an amazing idea. And that's what make me think about. So in economics, we have the concept about banking. To be simple, bank is the tools that bring the money from the people who save to the people who need. And we ask ourselves, could we apply the same way of that banking performance in the way we manage and distribute energy to the society? So we came up with the idea Energy Bank. Firstly, I will talk about the traditional way that we calculate the energy consumption and payment in Vietnam. In the real life, there is a lot of different levels of benchmark. But in this presentation, to make it simple and easy to understand, we will have the consumption that there is one benchmark and we call it the target. So when you use over the target, you are overuse user and you will pay for this part as price 1. And this part as price 2. Price 2 will higher than price 1. So in Energy Bank, instead of collecting payment individually, the energy supplier will collect payment as a whole community, and the calculation and the payment of individual user will occur within that community. In the community, we have overuse user and underuse user. So this amount under the target of underuse user will be borrowed by the overuse user, and they pay for this part as price 1. Price 1 is lower than price 2. So there is the benefit here, yet in return, the overuse user have to pay the interest for the underuse user. That's the theory, but how it works in the real life. We have made a research in a group of apartments in Thủ Đức, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, with 100 households. And in the first surveys, we asked about the monthly energy consumption and apply the data into the model of calculation in Energy Bank Now let's see the result.
So in this model, we have only one target, that's the 450 kilowatt hour. And for anyone used under the target, they will be charged 2,000 Vietnam dong. And anyone used over the target, they will be charged 2,500 Vietnam dong. And the deviation between the consumption in this model and real life is just 1.6%.
So at the beginning of month, both overused user and underused user will have the same target. We will call it the input, and the value of the input will be equal to the amount of target at price 1.
So in this model, the input equal 450 multiplied to 1,000. And we have here is the energy unit we selected among 100 households. And after we have the total overuse amount that is over 10,000 kilowatt hour, and the total underuse amount is over 8,000 kilowatt hour.
So in the situation of that community, you can see that the total underuse amount is smaller than the total overuse amount. So this is the amount available for borrowing.
So in this model, the available for borrowing is over 8,000 kilowatt hour, and it will be shared among the overused user by proportion.
Please show the column of borrowing in the Excel file. Yes, it's the borrowing column that the borrowing amount is sharing for the overused user. So at the end of month, the overused user has to pay for the input, and this part, we call it the energy debt. With that, the borrowing amount will be paid as price 1. But this, the remaining amount, they cannot borrow, so they still have to pay as price 2. And in contrast, the underused user just have to pay for this part, and it's equal to the input minus the savings. The saving is equal to the underused amount as price 1.
So we have here the amount that each household had to pay before the interest. So the total for 100 households is this number.
That the total amount that the community have to pay, and compared to the old way of calculation, you can see it's smaller. It means that there is the benefit here for the community. So where is that benefit come from? It is because of the sharing target among the users in the community. And we have the different policies to share that benefit for the community. I will talk about the first policies that 100% of the benefit will go to the underused user. Now you can see that the total interest paid by the overused user is equal to the benefit of the community. It means that they can keep 0% of the benefit for them. Now please pay attention to the red line. It's the overused user and the final cost they have to pay in this new model, including the payment for energy consumption and interest. Compared to the old way, it's just similar, and they have no benefit here, even if they have to pay the borrowing amount as price 1, cheaper than price 2. And in contrast, the blue line is the underused user. The final cost in the new way is lower than the old way, and they have the benefit here equal to over 100,000 Vietnam dong. And now the policies can be changed. Now 10% of the benefit will go for the overused user, 80% for the underused user, and 10% for the bank to maintain the operation. Why we should have that policies? Because in some situation, we must persuade the overused user to support our system to be applied in real life. And we have to pay the benefit for them. Now please look to the red light again. Now the final cost in the new way is also lower than the old way, because the overused user also have the benefit in this situation. And of course, the benefit share for the underused user in these policies is lower than the previous policies. But this benefit is not the goal of this system. Our goal is to utilize that benefit to encourage people to save energy. And in the second survey, we asked about the attitude and the behavior of the user to the energy bank system.
So after presenting this new calculation way to the household, 95% being happy with this new calculation way, and they encourage and promise to save average 100 kilowatt hour per month.
So in the first step of our project, we aim to the small-scale community. It can be the dormitories of our university, the resident area, maybe our neighborhood. Then we will aim to the bigger customer like the industrial areas or the technology part where the energy consumption is higher and the benefit by our model also bigger. And the first key holder is the energy supplier when they can reduce the cost to collecting payment individually. Then, because there is the balance between the overused amount and underused amount, between saving and using. So the difference between the real demand and the estimated demand in energy consumption of energy supplier becomes smaller, and we can reduce the risk cost due to the demand surplus, the supply that causes electricity interruption. Next is the management team of the small community that they will have the better management and a better service for the resident, and they also can have the benefit share from as a bank in the system and the end user, of course. Now, when you save energy, you not only reduce the cost of your own, but you will earn the money from the pocket of other people that will leverage the benefit of saving. And lastly, as I have mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, innovation of the technology. Now, when you save energy, you will earn money. So it's rise the rate of return and encourage people to apply technology that help them to save energy in the real life.
So this is the whole system and how the project works. We have a house with the household management system, including PM to monitor and CB to control. And all the households will be connected with the community network. This network will be linked into the community management system.
We are familiar with the EMS energy management system. So what is the difference between community management system and EMS?
The CMS has a similar functions as the EMS, but we have two plus points. The first one is the customization. The user will be provided with the account to sign in and customize the default schedule. And the second, we have the automatic energy banking, and it will automatically calculate the interest and benefits for the user. So that all the information and data in the CMS will be transferred and report to the cloud and through the internet. And this cloud will be the platform for the whole system, functions as a remote management system. And the user can use web application or mobile application to interact, monitor, or control the system. And here is the interface of the user. And you can see on the screen, the left side is the available amount for user, and you can pay attention to a part with the target. If you are using too much, it will reach the target faster. And it's not an easy feeling when you see your status turn from safe to unsafe. And the right side, that we have the household control. We have the function with on, off, set time, and customization. And next is the interface of the manager. The manager will have the overview of the overuse and underuse amount. And then we have the method and plan to balance them and prevent the interruption of power supply. And here is the cost and analysis, cost-benefit analysis of the project. The system is expected to use in 10 years. So the initial installation cost for 100 household users is $25,000. And we have also the maintenance cost. 10 years, the maintenance cost will be $5,000. So the total cost here is $30,000. For the benefit, as man presented before, our aim is encourage people to save energy. If the user can save energy, we will have the benefit over $100,000. And one more point, in the survey, we have a new calculation way. So the user will have the benefit more than 40,000. And one most important, we can help to prevent the interruption of power supply. It can save the cost of 30,000. So the total benefit here is over 180,000. So with this cost and benefit, we had the payback period equal 1.63 years. And with the payback period, we strongly believe that the project is feasible and practical to be applied in the real life.
We understand that we cannot avoid some shortcomings in our ideas, but we hope the idea is interesting enough so when you come back home today, you will spend a little time to think about energy bank. Because the more people think about something, the closer it is to the real life. So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.